An eviction backlog that could mean higher rent no matter where you live in the metro.
Almost 2 years after the pandemic-related eviction moratorium in Georgia ended, Atlanta landlords are still dealing with a backlog in the court system.
Some are waiting over a year to go before a judge. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Rachel Polansky explains how that is impacting renters right now.
This is requesting
Clayton County landlord,
court date, right?
It is.
Laverne DeLoach, is fed up.
We've gotten no answers. We've made phone calls to every person that we can think of, every number that we've been given. We've just dead-ended.
DeLoach says her tenant stopped paying rent in October. She filed for an eviction in December. 6 months later, she was still waiting for her day in court.
I think maybe Clayton County needs to reevaluate their systems or their processes, and I think they need to be restructured, and I think there should be some accountability.
Clayton County's chief magistrate court judge admits that there is a backlog, due in large part to COVID, but says the county has hired more judges and added more eviction calendars to eliminate the caseload.
It is devastating financially. It is very frustrating.
Over in DeKalb County, landlord Vladimir Yampolsky also filed for an eviction in December. 7 months later, his tenant is still living in his home.
And they're sitting there, not paying rent. They don't have any incentive to move because they know it may go forever.
Both Yampolsky and DeLoach are not corporate landlords. Yampolsky is a retired music teacher, and DeLoach is a former healthcare provider. Both invested in real estate to save for retirement. And now, they're worried about foreclosure.
We're borrowing money to pay for mortgage. We're in the red. We're about to lose our house.
I'm not here to make a lot of money. I just want to make a living.
Atlanta News First Investigates reached out to every magistrate court in the metro, and we uncovered eviction court backlogs in Clayton, DeKalb, and Fulton counties. And the delays do not end in the courtroom. Once a ruling is issued, all evictions in Georgia must be supervised by a marshal or sheriff's deputy. And we found some of those agencies are also playing catch-up. Today, there are 2,600 cases in the Fulton County Marshal's Department just waiting to be completed.
It took about 18 months to get through that entire process. So we waited basically for a year to get to court, and then we waited an additional 6 months after that for the actual sheriff's eviction.
You heard right. 18 months from the day property manager Todd Orchide filed an eviction to the day the tenant was evicted from this Fulton County townhome. In your time in this industry, have you ever seen anything like this?
Oh, no. Atlanta's always been relatively smooth for these sorts of things. Cases used to be processed in 4 to 6 weeks.
It's gotten so bad that Orchide is now encouraging investors to buy elsewhere.
They're looking for a place where their risk is low. And if they're looking at that, they're going to say, well, I have a much better opportunity in these outlying counties than I do in Fulton and DeKalb in these areas because my risk is just higher in those counties.
And the ripple effect has already begun. Orchide says most Metro Atlanta landlords are either raising rent or security deposits to compensate for the additional risk.
Ultimately, who really suffers is the 99% of tenants who are good tenants. It's creating an even greater affordable housing crisis.
And then we have a mess in here.
As for Laverne DeLoach, 2 weeks after we got involved,
It makes no sense.
her tenants moved out.
We've noticed that there's bullet holes in the screened-in porch in the wood, so there's bullet casings on the floor.
But she's still out $17,000 in unpaid rent. And after this experience,
We lost our money. We lost our investment.
she says she's getting out of the rental business.
I mean, we have no choice. At this point, we have to sell and cut our losses.
And we also have an update on Vladimir Yampolsky's case. Just weeks after we got involved, a DeKalb County judge ruled in his favor. Then a marshal came out to this house and the tenant was evicted. But Yampolsky tells us he is still out $26,000 in unpaid rent. Now, the house sits largely empty. Yampolsky has since hired a team of contractors who have moved everything out, and now they're in the process of cleaning everything up. The next step is finding a new tenant. Reporting in DeKalb County, Rachel Polansky, Atlanta News First.
You can get more on Rachel's investigation right now on the Atlanta News First app. There, we also have a look behind the investigation where you can get insight and analysis too.